On the surface, everything looks good. You're making sales, you're running ads, revenue's going up. But there's one big assumption that keeps so many founders stuck. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at your sales report and thought, hang on, we're doing decent numbers, so why does it feel like there's no money left? You're not alone in thinking this. I hear this pretty much every single week from founders. Sales are strong, ads look good, everyone's busy, but somehow there's no profit. And most of the time, it's not because anything's gone wrong. It's because there are hidden leaks in the business. Small things that quietly eat away at your margins until you wake up one day wondering where it all went. So today, we're going to plug those leaks. I'm Jason Chappell, founder of Define and creator of e-commerce Growth Made Easy. I help e-commerce founders grow profitably, not just make more sales, but keep more of what they earn. And in this episode, we're going to dig into the common traps that cause profit to vanish. Hidden costs in your stock, fulfillment, and marketing. And how to spot and stop these leaks before they sink your business. And if you want the calculators and step-by-step templates to run these numbers for your own brand, you'll find them all inside my school community, e-commerce Growth Made Easy. The link's in the description and you can get started for free. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start with the more revenue trap. This one's subtle because on the surface, everything looks good. You're making sales, you're running ads, revenue's going up. But there's one big assumption that keeps so many founders stuck. That they think that because they're bringing in money, that they're making money. Now, there's a subtle but really important difference here. Let me give you an example. I was working with a founder recently who said, Jason, our sales have doubled since last year, but we're not making any more profit. So we went through their numbers and it turned out everything had grown, except margin. Their fulfillment costs had crept up. Their discounts had become more frequent. Their ad costs had risen. And because the business was busier than ever, they'd also added more overhead, staff, agencies, and software. Nothing looked wrong individually, but combined, these small leaks were erasing any additional profit completely. And that's the trap. When things get busy, it's easy to think growth is progress. And it happens easily because most founders are flat out reacting, not planning, which means these little leaks, the ones you barely notice, keep multiplying until profit disappears. So before we even look at the leaks themselves, I want you to do one thing. Stop chasing more revenue for a moment. Start chasing better revenue. The kind that leaves money in your pocket at the end of the month. Now, let's start with one of the biggest potential hidden leaks. Stock. It's the one that catches even the most experienced merchants off guard. You think you're being smart ordering ahead. Maybe you're planning for Q4 or a new campaign. But what happens next? You tie up all your cash in inventory. You pay to store it. You pay to pick and pack it. You pay again when it doesn't move fast enough. I worked with a brand last year who did exactly this. They doubled their stock order ahead of Black Friday, thinking they were being proactive. And by December, they had boxes stacked to the ceiling. On paper, their balance sheet looked pretty good. In reality, all their cash was sitting in a warehouse, leaving nothing for ads, operations, or them. And this is where warehousing becomes dangerous, because those boxes aren't just idle. They're costing you money every single day they sit there. So if you're holding more than you need, you're literally paying to store profit that's trapped in a product. Now, let's assume you don't have an overstock problem. There are other dangers in warehousing and fulfillment that can cause small leaks but add up to big costs. I'm talking about multi-pick fees. This one's real sneaky. If you're using a 3PL or fulfillment partner, check your contract. Most charge a full pick fee for the first item, which is fair enough. But then they charge again for each additional item in the same order. Also fair enough. But sometimes they charge you at the same rate as the first pick, and that kills your margin. So if your fulfillment partner is charging $2 for the first pick and another $2 for every item after that, you're giving away unnecessary margin. Try to negotiate a multi-pick rate. You'll be surprised how flexible many providers are if you just ask. And if you're bundling or encouraging multi-product baskets, which by the way you absolutely should be, this is a must. And remember, dead stock is just delayed pain. If you haven't watched my previous episode on how to calculate the right amount of stock, go back and watch that. It could be the difference between make or break for your brand, because ordering correctly is the cheapest way to protect profit. Next, let's talk about discounting. You've probably heard me say this before, but it's worth repeating. Discounting feels like a sales boost, but it's usually a profit drain. And I'll give you an example. Let's say your product sells for $100 and your gross margin is 60%. So it costs you $40 to produce a product. That gives you $60 gross margin per unit. Now you run a 20% off promo. That takes the sale price from $100 to $80. Your costs didn't change. They're still $40. Now your gross profit is just $40. That's a 33% drop in profit. So for every sale you make, you've just given away a third of your margin and discounted orders that might have converted at full price anyway. This is why discounts don't just erode profit. They train customers to wait for the next one. You're effectively teaching your audience that your real price is the sale price. And if you do this too often, it becomes impossible to sell at full price. If you haven't already, go and watch my full episode on the discounting trap. It breaks this down in detail and shows you exactly what a discount really costs your business. I've also got a free discounting calculator that you can use. The link's in the description. Now, I'm not anti-discount. There are smart ways to do it, using bundles or gifts with purchase instead of flat discounts. You can run targeted offers for specific customer segments and protect your high margin products. But blanket discounting, that's one of the biggest leaks I see, especially when it comes to Q4. Let's move on to the next one, the hidden ops cost. This includes things like SaaS subscriptions, agency retainers, small recurring tools that nobody checks anymore. They creep up slowly. $99 here, $200 there. And before you know it, you're spending thousands a month on things that don't actually move the needle. I worked with a brand recently that was spending over $5,000 a month on software tools. And when we audited them, half had overlapping features across apps that no one was even using. So here's what to do. Once a quarter, audit your tech stack and service spend. Cancel or consolidate anything that doesn't actively contribute to your goals. Ask agencies to show profit impact, not just vanity metrics like impressions or click-through rates. And do not accept ROAS as a metric. It does not account for profit. You can even renegotiate contracts mid-year. It could save you thousands. Remember, this is a performance business. You can't afford to keep contracts if they're not delivering against your goals. And if you need help figuring out what's worth keeping, that's something we work through inside my school community. Or if you want it done for you, you can work with me directly. Now, the other side of operational cost is your people and your environment. I know what it's like. You hit a new revenue milestone, so naturally you think, we're doing more, so we need more people. And because we'll have more people, we need a bigger office. And those people are going to need more tools. And you probably do need all of those, to a point. But each of those decisions carries a long-term cost. New team members need salaries, hardware, software, training and bedding in periods. A bigger office means higher rent, more heating, lighting, utilities, insurance. And then there's the hidden cost, the extra time you spend managing it all. I've seen founders accidentally double their fixed costs just trying to professionalize their operations. So here's my advice. Keep your fixed costs lean. Automate or outsource before you hire full-time, and regularly review whether your overhead reflects your goals. If your business is growing, but your team is growing faster than your profit, you're building pressure, not freedom. Now it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Returns. Returns can be brutal, especially if you're in fashion and apparel. I've seen brands lose 20 to 30% of revenue just from returns once you account for outbound shipping, return shipping, processing time, restocking, and unsellable inventory. And that's before you even factor in the opportunity cost of stock that's on the road, not available to sell. This is where you need to focus on prevention. Start with simple solutions like sizing and product data. Most returns are caused by fit issues or unexpected quality of materials. If you sell apparel, invest in size guides that actually work. Encourage customers to measure themselves and use product reviews to build confidence in sizing accuracy. Because when people aren't sure, they order 2 or 3 sizes, meaning your stock levels need to be inflated just to meet that demand, which is costly. And to rub salt in the wound, your warehousing costs go up to accommodate that extra stock. You can also start to rethink how you handle returns. Try and encourage exchanges over refunds by offering store credit or small incentives. It keeps the cash in your ecosystem and reduces waste. And don't forget, free returns aren't free for you. Factor them into your pricing or limit free returns to loyal customers or higher value purchases. This next one's a big one. Marketing efficiency. So many founders I talk to obsess over ROAS, or return on ad spend. They'll proudly tell me, we're hitting a ROAS of 4. But when I ask if that includes agency fees, software costs, or influencer commissions, they usually go quiet. Because that ROAS of 4 isn't often 4 at all. Let's break it down. Let's say you spend $10,000 on ads and make $40,000 in revenue. That's a ROAS of 4. But now add $2,000 in agency fees, $1,000 in creative and influencer costs. Suddenly you've not spent $10,000, you've actually spent $14,000. And your ROAS of 4 looks more like 2.8. And the worst bit is we haven't accounted for product costs yet. If your cost of goods is 40%, after you've deducted that from your revenue, as well as the $14,000 you've spent in ads, you're left with $10,000 and still have to pay for variable fees, operating expenses and more. That's why ROAS isn't a number to optimize for. It's leaving you believing you're making more money than you are. So what do you do with all this? First, don't panic. Every brand leaks money somewhere. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. Here's the framework I use with clients. Every quarter, we audit every major cost center: stock, fulfilment, operational expenses, marketing, software, and returns. We ask one simple question for each one. Is this contributing towards my goals? If it is, can we optimize it? Can you make it more efficient, cheaper, faster? If it isn't, cut it or restructure it so that it does. Some things don't need to show direct return on investment, like brand shoots or community building, but they should contribute strategically to the bigger picture. If you can honestly justify why you're doing it and how it fits your goals, keep it. If not, it's a leak. When you get into this rhythm, auditing quarterly, adjusting strategically, your profit starts to rise without even growing revenue because you're keeping more of what you make. And that's the real win. So to wrap this up, if your sales are growing, but your profit isn't, you're not broken, you're just leaking. Plug those leaks and you'll find more growth hiding in your current numbers than you'll ever get from chasing the next shiny tactic. And if you want the tools, calculators, and step-by-step templates I use with my clients to find and fix these leaks, they're all inside my e-commerce growth made easy community on School. The link's in the description and it's free to get started. If that sounds like too much and you just want someone to do it for you, send me a message and we'll get you straightened out in no time. Now, go plug those leaks, protect your profit, and build a business that actually pays you back. I'll see you in the next one.